in last night. I told you I'd be back, and here I am to do another update here on YouTube for what kind of impacts we could see for the rest of the night and into the day tomorrow as our major winter storm continues to push into our region. Now, we are going to be looking at heavy snowfall at times, but also looking at those travel impacts, kind of expanding in coverage overnight tonight. But we've already seen some hefty snowfall totals as well. So we'll go through that here in a little bit more detail coming up here in just a few minutes. This will give me a chance to get everything working here behind the scenes. Usually everything's working out pretty smoothly, but I will spin this back around and show you what the current radar looks like across the region. And there are open spots. It may not necessarily look like a whole lot, especially in southwestern Montana, but we're seeing more snow down here than the radar is actually picking up, and I'll explain why here momentarily. If you've tuned into any of these before, you'll know what I'm talking about when up towards, there's two areas specifically up towards Kalispell and then down from south of Butte and Bozeman that we really struggle with getting information from the radar down at that point. So I know people are starting to work their way in. As you are, certainly feel free to let us know where you're tuning in from, what kind of conditions you're seeing outside your window. Have you dealt with the snow for the last couple of days? Are you still waiting on it? I asked this question last night. Are you ready for more snow, or are you done? Are you ready for warmer temperatures? I'm always interested to gauge how everybody's feeling about that. But also with this storm system here across western Montana, if you have any questions about it, feel free to post those in the chat section or any comments, and I'll try and keep an eye on those as we go throughout them. So now that we're about 2 minutes into this Facebook, I keep doing that. I'm going to keep doing it forever. I was so used to doing it on Facebook that now that we're on YouTube. But we'll get going with this and jumping back in. Here is what radar looks like at this time. We're looking at that northwest to southeast motion with this band of activity. It has stayed pretty consistent since yesterday. We were talking about the heavy snowfall in both the Missoula and the Flathead valleys. And we'll go into some of the snowfall totals that we've already seen here momentarily. But I wanted to just do a quick look at radar. You can see this this zone moving in. Now, starting off, we do still have a widespread range of winter weather advisories in the blue shade, winter storm warnings in the pink. So I'll start off with the winter weather advisories. This one for the Kootenai Cabinet region up in northwest Montana, that lingers on until 11 p.m. tonight. We're really on the backside of this storm system. Not very much in the way of snowfall is expected from here on up into this region, though still blowing snow certainly could be a problem and leading to some travel impacts. And then we get into southwest Montana, really from east of Butte out to Bozeman, down into the mountains towards West Yellowstone, Big Sky, and then northwest Beaverhead County. Those continue through 11 a.m. on Tuesday. Overall, looking at about 1 to as much as maybe 5 inches of snow in these zones in our lower elevations. Higher elevations could be more in that 5 to 8 inch range up in our mountains. And then we get into the winter storm warnings, where we are seeing the greatest concerns for significant impacts from this storm. Again, we are on the backside of it, so things should start to improve a little bit when it comes to our snowfall, though a few areas will still be dealing with problems from different causes. So all of these winter storm warnings here in pink, those continue through 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. And really, I think this zone close to Interstate 90 through central Lake County, well, actually through Lake County, I'll just say all of Lake County and south is our area of focus, but even more so just in this zone from Flathead Lake down through Missoula, the northern Bitterroot Valley, and really areas east from there out towards more Seeley Lake, Ovando, Helmville, maybe down as far south as Butte, but we're going to be right on the edge there of those greatest impacts. Heavy snow right now in Belgrade, I believe it, and I'm going to bounce back to radar, mostly because radar doesn't actually show this, and I was going to say I was going to explain why that's kind of the case. In this zone from Butte over to Bozeman, we can see a little bit of the activity, especially during the summertime. The radar beams from both Missoula and Great Falls can catch it, but when we're talking snow, the beam is over most of the precipitation, so it looks like nothing's happening there, but it in fact is ongoing there. So here's that zone, heaviest snowfall, west central, and now moving into southwest Montana, really relatively close to the I-90 corridor. Saw that from Richard. Bitterroot Valley, cloudy, 32 degrees, no precipitation right now, just a trace of snow. And that's really been the big issue down towards the Bitterroot Valley. This is one thing that models were hinting at, either a combination of rain and snow trying to mix in with those warmer temperatures, but also you see how, let me stop this, and I'll zoom into the Bitterroot Valley. And this is an issue the Missoula Valley runs into quite often, where you notice there's not a lot of precipitation here. Essentially, as it's coming over the Bitterroot Mountains and dropping back down into the valley, it's evaporating before it reaches the surface. You get essentially a mini rain shadow that takes place in those zones. So the Bitterroot Missoula Valley is both notorious for that, but there's enough moisture, and the way that it's coming in from that northwest to southeast motion is keeping the Missoula Valley in the snow, while down into the Bitterroot we're not seeing too much. That could change later, but it's going to be very, very close. And honestly, I think really places towards Lolo, Florence, and maybe Stevensville have a better chance to see at least some lighter accumulations of snowfall as compared to Victor, Hamilton, down towards Darby and Sula. So that's where we are with that. And I was going to mention the snowfall totals. I'm just going to spin this back around to me. I don't have a graphic for this, but I am going to read through some of the official reports that we have that the National Weather Service has shared across western Montana. So these aren't going to be all of the reports that we've seen, but these are at least just the official ones that they have posted on their reports page. So in general, across the Flathead Valley, reports of anywhere from about 5 to as much as 9 inches across the Flathead Valley, from Creston through Kalispell and into Evergreen and into Kalispell, and then down the Highway 2 corridor up over towards Kyla and Marion. So Marion 5.8, Kyla 7.9, west and northwest sides of Kalispell 8.5 to 8.6 inches there, and then Evergreen 5.3, and Creston about 6.4. So some decent snowfall there. 6 to 7 inches for Big Fork and Ferndale areas. Taking a little bit further south, Finley Point, or north of Finley Point, about 6 inches there, closer to Yellow Bay. Polson, we're at 8 inches, and a lot of these reports came in either the morning or about mid-afternoon. So there's still been snow on top of these totals. So here's just kind of, like I said, a rough estimate. Highway 200 corridor from Noxon down to Tusker, Trout Creek, Thompson Falls, and towards Weeksville and Plains, anywhere from about 4 to 5.5 inches through that zone. And then we get into the Mission Mountains, and that's really kind of one area we were keeping a very close eye on, the Mission and Swan Mountains, for potentially 2 to 4 feet of snow. And there are 3 snow tell sites up in the mountains that they have reports from, ranging 18 to 20 inches of snow already, and that was at 1 p.m. this afternoon, and it has been pretty consistent snow, some of that heavy at times since then. So I would be very surprised if there wasn't something in that 2 to 3 foot range up there in the mountains. We'll get more reports over the next couple of days, and that'll certainly help us out in getting an idea of how much snow we've seen. Continuing further south, 4.5 inches as of 8 a.m. this morning near Seeley Lake. Again, another place I think we certainly exceeded that snowfall. Ovando, 6 inches, 10 inches in Potomac. This is back on the Highway 200 corridor east of Missoula, working our way back into Missoula. 11 inches at Stewart Mountain, so north, kind of up in the Rattlesnake, north of Missoula. And I've seen official reports in the Missoula Valley anywhere from 6 to 9 inches. So 6.1 inches officially at the Missoula Airport, 6.5 report there closer towards Orchard Homes, Kelly Island area, and then 9 inches north of Lolo. But I've even seen some people with unofficial reports maybe closer to a foot of snowfall in certain parts of the valley. So that's one I'm going to be keeping a close eye on, seeing if we get some more of those coming in. Still 7 inches over towards Tura. They're east of Bonner. Not so much, again, down towards the Bitterroot Valley. We were talking about that with from what Richard brought up a few minutes ago. Tracking a little further east, West Valley, so just to the west of Anaconda, between there and Georgetown Lake, 5.6 inches. North of Butte towards Boulder, 10 inches of snow. And then we get down towards the Gallatin Valley, and so far, I'm only seeing reports of about 1 to maybe 3 inches from Bozeman back over towards Churchill. But higher totals up in the mountains, up into the Bridgers, anywhere from 9 to 12 inches up there. And again, a lot of these reports were from much earlier in the day. For the ones closer to Belgrade, or closer to the Bridgers, I should say, those were in the afternoon. So maybe not too much more there, but still plenty of snow across the area. And just outside of Grant, close to the Clark Canyon Reservoir, about 2.5 inches there south of Dillon, which has been a little bit of I'll say an overperformer for some forecast models. So let me jump back in to the comments. Don't see any there. Again, if you're just tuning in, if you have any questions or comments about the storm system, feel free to ask those. I'll keep an eye on the chat section. But also, if you have any photos or videos of the snowfall, maybe even snowfall reports where you've got a measurement of how much snow you've seen throughout the day today or throughout this whole storm system, certainly feel free to share a photo with us at nbcmontana.com/chime-in. So there's the note on the snowfall totals. Those are going to continue to increase. One more note, and I'm going to go to the MDT map really quick because there is Homestake Pass specifically, and I want to make sure it's still up. Yes. So Homestake Pass, eastbound and westbound, chains are required for towing units. There are issues there. I'm trying to think. This is at milepost 237. Due to a crash, the right lane of the westbound the westbound driving lane is blocked. So there are issues there. There's been another accident in Butte itself, which has been blocking the northbound exit at mile marker 123. There is a detour set up on Iron Street there. Further north, up Interstate 15, just to the west of Boulder, milepost 158, the right lane is closed due to a blockage in the southbound driving lane. So that's what's got me confused. It says I-15 northbound at that milepost, but then the additional information says blockage on the southbound driving lane. So there is an issue near Boulder. I just am not sure which direction that is. And then seeing more of these accidents popping up. This is on Interstate 90, just to the east of Drummond. Vehicles slide off left lane is blocked. Please use right lane. So there's a blocked lane, and this is in the westbound lanes. But these types of issues with accidents, slide-offs, things like that are important to keep track of. And this I didn't notice. This is brand new. And I'll make a social post about this probably after this Facebook Live. All across the Gallatin Valley, MDT is reporting severe driving conditions. So from Manhattan down to Belgrade, Bozeman, over Bozeman Pass, as well as towards the Four Corners area and west in the direction of, I know it doesn't quite go that far north, but to Highway 287 there between Harrison and Norris Hill. So that is a change literally just since we started the YouTube Live. But also up into Bridger Canyon, severe driving conditions. So towards the Gallatin Valley right now, if you can just, if you don't have to be out on the roads, just stay home. Call it a night. Stay bundled up at home. But that's where we're seeing the worst driving conditions right now, really towards Butte and Bozeman. Some of the heaviest snow, and I'll jump back to radar here. The heaviest snow towards west central Montana has at the moment stayed just north of Interstate 90 and Highway 200, but that is likely going to change here pretty soon as it's sagging southward. So really the window from now through about, I'd say midnight tonight, probably the heaviest snowfall, at least for this back half of the storm. So let me jump back in. Okay, let me spin back around. We'll go look at radar and I'll show you what I'm talking about with that heavier band. See how these darker colors are showing up here? It disappeared there, but closer up here towards St. Ignatius, there's one band. This one is the one to really watch. From stretching back here from near Alberton, Tarkio area, across Evero Hill and towards the Highway 200 corridor out here towards Clearwater Junction, Potomac area, and then eventually even further out towards Helmville, and now we're seeing that towards Avon and Elliston. And I'm going to back this up just a little bit, just kind of get a sense of that one's motion. Yeah, I see how it's become a little bit narrower through this zone. That could be producing snowfall rates upwards to about an inch, maybe even an inch and a half per hour, and that could cause some big-time travel impacts, and I'd be really curious to see this zone, particularly east of Bonner, heading up towards Potomac. Could have seen some pretty heavy snow through there, and then same thing getting closer towards the Drummond community, and then further off to the east, Elliston, and then eventually McDonald Pass. But we're even seeing that here into the northern Bitterroot Valley. Still some issues there. So, continuing on with the temperatures, this is the combination of the Pacific moisture and the Arctic air that's sliding in. And that collision point is what's creating a lot of the heavier snowfall. Probably one of the reasons we're seeing those enhanced totals down towards Bozeman with the temperature at 9 degrees. Helena's at 5, but take a look at Butte, 24. Not as cold, but as this sags southward and westward, we'll see those snowfall rates increase, but also that could lead to any moisture that has melted throughout the day, especially towards Missoula, to refreeze overnight, creating some big-time impacts. So here's another look at those current conditions. Snow towards Missoula, much heavier towards Bozeman, now severe driving conditions. Homestake Passes is this look, but you can't see really a whole lot there. But be aware, if you have any travel plans that direction, chains for towing units are required. Going into Future Tracker really quick, it's done a good job picking up on the Interstate 90 corridor, that heaviest snowfall continuing through this zone. You notice generally just a solid band at times from that connects all the way from Missoula back down to Bozeman. As we get beyond midnight, snow west of the divide will start to taper off. Maybe this model is actually lingering this back in towards the Sapphire Mountains a little bit longer, as well as towards Butte. But notice how Bozeman, we just stay in that snowfall all the way into tomorrow morning. Really, as we get closer to sunrise, I think, other than some spotty showers here and there, northwest, west central Montana, much quieter conditions. The moisture is going to begin to clear the area. And by tomorrow afternoon, say as early as, say, 3 to 5 o'clock, other than a few spotty showers here and there, we're pretty much done with this storm system, but that isn't the end of the story. We've got another one on the way. Now, really quick, I'll show you the potential additional snowfall we could see from this. I'd say probably about 1 to 3 inches. Seeley Lake, Missoula, Hamilton, Butte. Lesser totals for Kalispell and Dillon. Most of the snow is done in your area. Bozeman showing 1 to 5. Wouldn't surprise me if a few localized areas maybe still closer to seeing about 5 inches, but 2 to 5 inches on average has been what I've been going with throughout the day for our mountain passes. Most of that from McDonald, Homestake Pass, south and east in that same band, 4 to 8, maybe 5 to 10 towards Bozeman. Matches up pretty nicely with those winter weather advisories for our higher elevations. I hope all drivers take it easy through this. Slower is safer this season. Absolutely, I 100% agree. Take it a little bit slower. Give yourself a little bit of extra time and extra time for your commute, but wherever you may be going as well. But also just some extra space between you and vehicles in front of you. Gives you a little bit of, for me, it's a peace of mind for getting, not having to deal with as much issues on the road. We aren't done, though. We have another storm system that's going to be arriving Tuesday into Wednesday. Doesn't look as strong, but it will bring us another round of widespread snowfall. And as we look at a different look at Future Tracker, you'll see that arriving by the afternoon and evening of Wednesday. Widespread snowfall overall. In general, this should stay on the light to moderate side. Most forecast models are showing less than an inch for most of our valleys, maybe up to 3 to 6 inches up over mountain passes and in the mountains themselves. But notice as we get into Thursday morning, more of these pinks starting to show up. That's an indicator of warmer temperatures that are on the way. So we'll transition back over, instead of being all snow, to maybe a wintry mix of rain and snow. And as we go into the next couple of days, we'll see those temperature trends continue. 30s and even some 40s by the time we get into Friday. That continues into Saturday, and really, other than West Yellowstone and Dillon, we're looking at low to even maybe upper 40s in a few locations. By Saturday, 47 in Missoula. And then into Sunday, that continues. That lingers around. 44 for Kalispell, Butte, and Bozeman. So if we can get through the next couple of days, we're going to be looking at much milder conditions. There still will be storm systems, so I think by the time we get into Saturday and Sunday, northwest, west central Montana, here comes the next one. But it looks like it may be more of a wintry mix, rain and snow in our valleys with snow in the mountains. So there's a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel, especially if you've been looking for more of this warmer, more mild type of weather, and you're kind of sick and tired of the cold and snow and all of what we've been dealing with for about the last month. But it is winter still. We're going to continue to deal with this off and on. But as always, it's nice to see a little bit of a change to the weather, especially in the warmer direction. So this is where I'm going to wrap it up. Again, last chance if you got any questions or comments about the storm, and I will go from there. Certainly tune into our live broadcast tonight at 10 o'clock. I'll have the latest updates for the weather, but then we've also got Laurel Staples at the anchor desk with the latest news updates, and then certainly tomorrow morning, join Jason Hurst and Chief Meteorologist Brooke Foster at 5 on NBC Montana Today. And as I wrap this up, certainly again, if you have any photos or videos of the snow, how much you've seen or how you're enjoying it, certainly feel free to share those with us at nbcmontana.com/chime-in. So everyone have a great night, stay warm, stay safe, and again, remember, severe driving conditions right now in the Gallatin Valley, causing some big problems with some heavy snow and even blowing snow at that, and we could even see that flash freeze for more areas overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning's commute, so take it slow, and again, be safe. I'll see you all in the next one with NBC Montana. I'm meteorologist Mitchell Coombs.